We take off immediately after the first game. Joel and his brother Tommy are in an abandoned house in the woods. Joel tells Tommy what happened with the Fireflies and Ellie in Salt Lake City while cleaning his guitar. Tommy seems shocked. They leave the house and ride back to Jackson, which is Tommy's settlement. Once there, Tommy tells Joel that he would have done the same for Ellie. Cut! Joel walks to Ellie's new house. He wants to show her something. He exits and comes back with his guitar. He asks her to promise to not laugh and plays Future Days by Pearl Jam to her. Really emotional moment. She claps and says that it didn't suck. Joel gives her the guitar, promising he will teach her how to play. Cut! Jackson. 4 years later, Jesse wakes up Ellie for their patrol. We discover that Jesse broke up with his girlfriend Dina a week ago, and Dina kissed Ellie the night before in front of everyone at a party, pissing off Seth, an old man who's part of the community. Jesse plays it cool, but is clearly still in love with Dina. We discover that earlier in the morning, Joel and Tommy have been sent by Maria, Tommy's partner, to scout out north because they got reports of infected. We also find out from Maria that there's some tension between Ellie and Joel. Maria brings Ellie to Seth and makes him apologize for the previous night by preparing her 2 beef sandwiches. Ellie and Dina leave town to patrol the area. Cut! New characters! We see a group of people sleeping in a mansion. Owen wakes up Abby. Damn, boy, she thick! And tells her he wants to show her something. After a walk on the snow and some flirty jokes, Owen shows Abby the Jackson settlement. He shows her how big it is, and he tells her he's so armed patrol. They have outposts, electricity, weapons, and more. We understand they are looking for someone in Jackson. Abby wants to find a way to lure this person out, but Owen doesn't think it's a good idea. We also find out that Owen's girlfriend Mel is pregnant, and there's a weird love triangle going on. They have a sort of argument. Owen goes back to the mansion. Abby goes on by herself, kills a bunch of zombies, and finds horse tracks. Cut! Ellie and Dina are following the path of one of the patrols. They reach the first outpost and enjoy a beautiful view. On the way to the next outpost, they get caught in a storm. After reaching it, they are forced to stay there until the storm passes. They discover an entrance for Eugene's secret place. Ellie and Dina tell us a little about Eugene. He was Tommy's friend, and they were Fireflies together. Apparently, they did really bad stuff, torture people, etc. He died a while ago, so the place has not been taken care of in a long time. They enter and find a gigantic amount of dead wheat plants, stoner gadget, some pre-rolled joints in a jar, and since they are stuck there, they start smoking. They talk about the previous night and the kiss, and then they start to kiss again. Cut! Abby gets attacked by a horde but gets saved by Joel and Tommy. They realize that it will be impossible for them to outrun the horde all the way to Jackson. Abby advises to go to the mansion where her friends are because it's closer and it has the full perimeter fenced. Joel and Tommy think it's a good idea and gets to their horses. Cut! Dina and Ellie are still chilling at the outpost and get caught still half naked by Jesse, who is clearly pretty annoyed, and informs them that Tommy and Joel haven't shown up yet. The three decide to split up to increase their chances of finding them. Joel, Tommy and Abby reach the mansion where we discover that Abby and her friend have been looking for Joel. Tommy gets hit in the head and passes out, while Abby shoots Joel in the leg. Joel asks Abby who she is, but she just replies guess before stopping the bleeding to have more time to torture him and hitting him in the face with a golf club. Ellie reaches the mansion where she hears Joel screaming. She opens the basement door and sees Joel horribly bashed up on the floor. She enters the room to attack them, but after cutting the face of one of them, she gets quickly blocked on the floor. She cannot do anything but watch Abby brutally kill Joel before getting knocked out. She wakes up later on with Dina calling her name. In front of her is Joel's dead body. Turn off PlayStation, look at the horizon for the next 3 hours. Back in Jackson, we discover that Abby and friends are probably from Seattle because of the patches that Tommy saw on their jackets. Washington, Liberation, Front. WLF, Wolves. Ellie wants instant revenge, but Tommy tries to persuade her from doing anything irrational and asks her to give him a day to talk to Maria and sort everything out. Ellie agrees. The next morning, Ellie visits Joel's grave and then his house with Dina to get his gun and watch. On the way out, they find Maria with a letter from Tommy telling her that he's going to Seattle to avenge Joel and asking her to buy some time with Ellie so he can end it. Maria is afraid that Tommy will get himself killed, so decide to help Ellie and Dina to sneak out Jackson. Ellie and Dina reach Seattle. By reading letters and messages, we discover that the wolves are at the Saravina Hotel. They successfully open the perimeter gate and reach a second gate which is in front of the Saravina Hotel. Unfortunately, the generator ran out of gas. Ellie remembers the note she found at the first gate, mentioning that there is gas at the courthouse garage and the dome. There is nothing but zombies at the dome, so they head to the courthouse. On the way there, they stop at a music shop, and Ellie plays Take On Me for Dina. The courthouse is obviously packed with infected, but they still manage to reach the garage and finally find the gas. After some exploring, looting and Easter eggs, we head back to the gate and restore the generator. Ellie and Dina reach the Saravina Hotel only to find out that Tommy was there before them and killed all the wolf he could find. again, torturing the last two, including Nick, one of Abby's friends, to get the code to open the next gate. Ellie and Dina opens the gate as well and decide to look for a shelter for the night, but they step on a trap instead. Dina falls in a hole and disappears, the horse gets shot in the head, and Ellie gets captured by wolves. She wakes up tied to a pole in a room with the guy she cut the face of, Jordan. He thinks that Ellie is responsible for the mess at the Saravina hotel, and he wants to know how many people are with her, how they found them, etc. Another wolf enters the room saying that Isaac, their leader, ordered them to kill all trespassers. Scar guy Jordan doesn't agree. They start arguing, and just a second before the random wolves shoot Ellie in the face, Dina kills him by shooting him from a glass roof. Ellie cuts herself free, kills Jordan, and finds a letter and a book picture from Leah, another wolf that was there when they killed Joel, on him. Ellie and Dina exterminate heaps of wolves and escape. Once in a safe place, they read in the letter that Isaac sent Leah and a bunch of men at the TV station for 2 weeks because they spotted scars in the area. No worries, we will come back to scars and who they are later on. On the way to the station, they find Tommy's horse dead and partially eaten by infected. Dina vomits because of the smell, she says. They arrive at the TV station where all the wolves are already dead, hung, and disemboweled. This time it clearly wasn't Tommy. Ellie and Dina reach Leah's room and find her on the floor killed by arrows. After looking in Leah's bag, Ellie finds some Polaroids taken by Leah during their holiday in Jackson of all the people that were there and their names. This basically becomes Ellie's death list. A group of wolves arrive at the station and attack Ellie and Dina, thinking they are responsible for killing all their men and calling them Scars. Yes, them again. We understand that they are a group of fanatics which is in a rivalry with the wolves, but it's still not time to talk about them yet. Ellie and Dina eventually run away, but they have to cross the old metro tunnels which are filled with spores. On the way out, Ellie's gas mask breaks, and in order to stop Dina from getting infected by trying to share one mask, Ellie is forced to tell Dina she's immune. They barely escape the metro tunnels and reach an old theater that they decide to use as shelter. Ellie explains her immunity to Dina, and since it's let's be sincere to each other day, Dina tells Ellie she's pregnant. Ellie gets pissed and decides to check the building. She finds a generator and a radio, but the radio is broken. She finds a guitar on the stage and starts playing the Pearl Jam song that Joel played for her at the beginning of the game. Flashback to 3 years earlier. It's Ellie's birthday. Joel has a surprise for her. He brings her to the Wyoming Museum of Science and History. Ellie loves dinosaurs and space, and the museum has both of them. After reaching the space section, Joel asks Ellie to wear a space helmet, and the two enter a capsule. Joel gives her an audio cassette of a real Apollo launch and asks her to close her eyes and listen to it. Ellie loves it. Father and daughter love energy. Beautiful emotional moment. Joel gives her the space pin that she still has on her backpack. After exiting the museum, Ellie notices another museum building. Joel says he hasn't checked on that section yet, but Ellie insists on checking it out now. The entrance is blocked from the inside, so Joel boosts her in an opening above the door. Ellie can't open the door, so she looks for another way in at the back of the building. After a few creepy moments, she reaches a door and finds Joel. Next to the door is the firefly symbol and the word liars written beneath it. Seattle, day 2. Ellie wakes up and finds Dina vomiting in a bucket in the radio room. She fixed the radio and started tracking wolves' movement and how they divided the city by areas. They start talking about the previous night, and when they are starting to make up, they hear a wolf on the radio reporting a lone male trespasser armed in Zone 14, Tommy. Ellie decides to go and help him. Dina feels like shit, so she stays at the theater to keep tracking the wolves. Ellie reaches Zone 14, and after killing more wolves and the first bunch of doggos, why? Find Jesse instead of Tommy. They steal a wolf car, and after a massive car chase shooting and a car accident, they are able to escape and go back to the theater for the night. Dina is really happy to see Jesse and starts overtaking care of him. Ellie walks away a bit upset. Drama! Flashback to 2 years earlier. Tommy is teaching Ellie how to use the sniper by shooting at infected from the mountains, and in the meantime tries to talk to her about what's happening between her and Joel. Ellie doesn't want to talk, so Tommy just tells her to talk more to Joel. They go back to the outpost where Joel is playing the guitar. He tells Ellie that she should have changed the guitar strings and decide to go with her to the old music store to get a new set of strings. The usual route is unwalkable, so they have to take a detour. They have small talk about Jesse wanting Ellie to start patrolling, Joel thinking that Jesse and Ellie are into each other, etc., until they find a dead couple that ran away from Jackson they hear before. Ellie asks Joel what happened with the Fireflies. She's starting to doubt Joel's story, but Joel dodges it like a boss! Back to Seattle. Ellie is stitching her wounds. Dina arrives and helps her. She tells her that she heard on the radio that Nora, one of Abby's friends, is at the hospital to get some supplies. Ellie decides to go straight away. Jesse is passed out on the couch, so she goes by herself. She reaches the hospital, sneaks behind a wolf guard who is playing Hotline Miami on a PSP, and gets her to tell her where Nora is in the hospital before killing her. Ellie sneaks into an air vent and finds Nora. We hear a wolf guard asking Nora where Abby is, as they know she was there before, and we understand she escaped herself. What the hell is actually going on? Ellie is able to approach Nora while she's alone and ask her where Abby is. Nora runs away and Ellie chases her. Other wolves start chasing Ellie as well. They reach a dead end with an opening in the floor which leads to an hospital area contaminated by spores. To not get caught, Ellie jumps in the hole, bringing Nora with her. The guards wear the mask and follow them. Nora runs away. After killing some more guards and infected, Ellie reaches Nora. She She asks her again where Abby is. Nora says, "You're breathing spores, you are her." Ellie asks her if she's a firefly, but she replies that there are no fireflies anymore. Ellie asks her again where Abby is, and when Nora says she will not give up her friend, Ellie starts bashing her with a metal pipe. Ellie reaches the theater covered in Nora's blood. She informs Dina and Jesse that Abby is in the aquarium. She is still visibly shocked for what she just did. Dina brings Ellie in the other room to clean her and take care of her. Ellie starts to cry and says she made Nora talk and that she doesn't want to lose Dina. Flashback to 2 years earlier. This time Ellie is by herself at St. Mary Hospital where the Fireflies used to be in the first game. The place looks totally abandoned. Ellie finds an audio recorder and she finally discovers the truth about what happened with the Fireflies and the vaccine. She's outside of the hospital listening to the cassette over and over again when Joel's arrived visibly worried since Ellie had run off in the middle of the night. Ellie gives him one last chance to tell her the truth, otherwise she will go away forever. Joel finally admits what happened that night. Ellie has a breakdown, gets pissed at Joel and tells him she will go back to Jackson, but they are done. Seattle, day 3. Ellie wakes up. Dina is asleep after a rough night. Jesse brings Ellie in another room and asks her if Dina is pregnant. Ellie tells him the truth. They agree she needs to go back, but they still need to retrieve Tommy. They decide to post at the aquarium where Abby is until Tommy shows up. Halfway there, they hear some wolf talking about a sniper in the marina area, probably Tommy. Jesse wants to go and gets Tommy, but Ellie is actually still thinking of her revenge. Jesse is a bit annoyed, and the two splits. Ellie arrives at the aquarium where she finds Owen and Mel fighting about Abby. Same routine. She asks where Abby is, they fight, Ellie kills them both. When she realizes she killed a pregnant woman, she had a breakdown, but Tommy and Jesse arrive and bring her away. Back to the theater. Ellie lays next to Dina, which is still sick and asleep. She goes to the next room where Jesse and Tommy are planning their route to go back to Jackson. Ellie cannot stand that Abby gets to leave, but she cannot do anything but agree with the rest of the group. Jesse makes a joke that the only thing they have to worry about now is Maria's reaction when they return. Tommy says he found what appears to be an epic golden necklace and he will give it to Maria so she will forgive him. He goes to get it from the other room to show it to the guys. After a few minutes, Ellie and Jesse hear a loud sound from the room Tommy is in. They quickly run to the room where Jesse gets immediately shot in the face by Abby and dies on the spot. Tommy is on the floor with Abby pointing the gun at him. She asks Ellie to toss her gun. She does it. Ellie says she knows why she killed Joel, that he did what he did to save her and to release Tommy since she's the one she wants. Abby tells Ellie she killed all her friends whereas they let them leave and she wasted it. Cut! Flashback to 4 years before. Abby is looking for her dad in the woods. After she finds him, we understand that he was there to take care of a pregnant zebra that gave birth and then got stuck in some wires. Owen arrives as well and helps to free the zebra. He calls Abby's dad Doc and tells him they found the immune girl and that she's at the hospital. Yes, the St. Mary Hospital in Salt Lake City. Cut to the hospital where Abby's dad and Marlene, the Fireflies leader from the first game, are discussing the delicate topic of killing Ellie to save humanity. Marlene doesn't agree, but in the end, Abby's dad convinces her. She tells him that she's gonna tell Joel because she thinks he deserves to know what's going on since he crossed the full country only to bring her there. Spoilers alert, big mistake. Abby tells her dad he's doing the right thing, and if she was immune, she would like him to perform the surgery on her. So why don't they just ask Ellie about it and let her choose? Sorry, personal opinion. Well, we know what happens next. Abby enters the surgery room and sees her father dead on the floor. She runs towards him screaming and crying, but Owen stops her and hugs her. Flash forward to Joel's death. This time, the scene is from Abby's perspective, showing more of her internal doubts, doing what she's doing. Cut! Seattle, day 1. Again. Manny, one of the wolves that was in Jackson, wakes her up telling her that they have been called up at the front by Isaac and they have to go now. We walk around a huge wolf base with kids going to school, a canteen, etc. We also understand that Manny f***s a lot of chicks. After getting some food by skipping the line, Manny informs Abby that Mel is going with them. Apparently they haven't talked since Jackson and Mel was pretty upset for the way in which they killed Joel. After all, she's a doctor, not an henchman. We know there's a big tension between the two, but Manny wants to try to reconcile them. After gearing up, the three of them plus Alice the dog get a truck and head to Isaac. They get ambushed by Scars but get saved by other wolves. They finally get to Isaac camp. They cross Nora, which brings them to a tent full of wolf bodies. Nora informs them that they're bringing in more bodies every hour. She opens one of the body bags, inside of which is Danny, a wolf that a few days before was sent with Owen to the marina area to take care of some Scars, and this morning they found him collapsed at the perimeter fence. Apparently he walked back by himself with a bullet in his stomach and spoke to Isaac until he died. Nora informs them that Isaac will not send help for Owen and asks them to not say to Isaac she told them about it. Abby and Manny walks to Isaac, who is busy torturing Scars. The three start talking, and we understand the Scars live on a little island nearby and that there were already attempts to reach a truce between the two factions, but it failed. Isaac wants to attack them and kill them all. There will be a storm in 2 days and Isaac wants to use it to approach the Scars Scar Island without being seen. He wants Abby and Manny to lead the first wave. Abby tells him she needs Owen. Isaac immediately understands the Nora talk and tells Abby that Owen shot Danny over a scar. She thinks there is an explanation and asks him to let her go after him. He says he will give Owen the benefit of the doubt if he'll ever come back, but he needs them to focus on getting rid of the scars now. He tells them to eat something and to start getting ready for the mission and leaves. Abby doesn't care and decides to go after Owen because she knows where he would hide. Flashback to 3 years earlier. Abby and Owen are on a Ferris wheel in a booth hanging on the water. We understand they are a couple. She's scared of heights, but Owen jumps in the water anyway and disappears. Abby jumps, Owen reappears from below the dock and asks her to follow him because he wants to show her something very awesome. Owen brings her to the aquarium. The two explore the place and find a boat. We find out it belonged to a family that arrived there a few years before and lived in the aquarium for a while. We discover that the mother died and we find the father's body on the chair holding a letter from his son telling him he's joined the Scars and is bringing the little brother with him. They found a romantic spot and start kissing, but Abby stops because she's still thinking about Joel despite all the leads having dried up. She asks Owen to go back to the camp for their training, but he stays at the aquarium broken-hearted. Back to Abby and Manny. She knows Owen is at the aquarium. Manny helps her to sneak out the base. On the path we get more information about Scars. They're a group of fanatics that believes that the virus outbreak was a sign from God to go back to nature and renounce technology. We also understand that the wolves killed their leader and now she's considered a martyr. On the way there, Abby gets hammered in the head and captured by Scars. Flashback to 4 months earlier. Abby arrives at the aquarium. Owen is already there. He cleaned up the place. We understand that Owen and Abby broke up and he's dating Mel, who is out with Alice the dog at the moment. After some awkward moment between the two in which we basically understand Owen still has feeling for Abby despite him cleaning the whole aquarium, making it cozy to spend Christmas there with Mel, Abby tells him she found where Joel's brother is. She tells Owen that all the rest of their friends know about it and are in. She wants him to go as well, and of course Owen accepts. Simp! Back to Seattle. Two Scars are transporting a tied-up Abby. They hang her with a noose around her neck and they put a bucket under her feet. Just before the executioner disembowels her, 2 more Scars brings Yara, another Scar, in. They bend her knees, ask her where the other apostate is, and horribly hammer her elbow. The other apostate is Lev, Yara's younger brother. Long story short, Yara, Lev and Abby save each other and run away. They find shelter, but Yara's arm and Yara herself don't look good at all. Abby medicates Yara in the best way she can, and before leaving says to Lev that the terror is spirit traffic and that he will have to leave the next morning despite his sister's shade. She finally reaches the aquarium. Owen is in the boat, a bit tipsy. Abby asks him about Danny, and he explains they were cleaning a Scar camp, and finding himself in front of an old man, he realized he was done. He couldn't kill him. Danny got in his face about it, he told him he was done, but then he pointed his gun at him, so he grabbed it and it happened. Abby says he will fix it because it was self-defense, but Owen is done. He says he will fix the boat to go to Santa Barbara. We understand there are rumors about Fireflies regrouping there, and Owen wants to give it a shot. They start fighting and almost to punch each other, but they start having rough sex instead. Abby dreams she's in the St. Mary Hospital. She enters the surgery room where her father was killed, but she finds Yara and Lev butchered and hung. She wakes up naked in the boat next to Owen and decides to go back to Yara and Lev. Seattle, day 2. Abby leaves the aquarium and reaches the shelter where she left Yara and Lev. Yara is in an horrible state, so Abby brings her back to the aquarium. Owen and Mel are very confused, but she explains to them that they saved their life and convinces Mel to take care of Yara's arm. After visiting her, Mel tells them that Yara's arm needs to be removed, but she cannot do it without the right tools. She tells them that they will never make it in time since they will need a couple of days to get to the hospital and back. But Lev tells them the Scars have bridges built at high levels and they can make it in 2 hours. Mel makes a list. Owen tries to talk to Abby in private before she leaves. He tries to tell her Mel showed up by herself slightly before Abby arrived and that she doesn't know about last night. Abby says she doesn't care about last night. Owen replies that he does, but Abby leaves. Lev brings Abby on a butt-cheeks clenching path crossing skyscraper by walking on crash cranes and other f***ed up things. During this path we get to know the Scars better. They call themselves Seraphites. They consider their ex-leader a prophet. They pray to her and live following her beliefs. They have many villages and a main city called Heaven. They live in contact with nature in tree houses and huts. Everything sounds really lovely and peaceful, but they also practice a ritualistic sacrifice, hanging the sinners and disemboweling them to empty them from their sins, which is not very cute. Once near the Wolves Hospital, Abby tells Lev to wait for her there because the wolves would kill him on the spot. Abby reaches the perimeter fence and tells the guard she needs to get some medical supplies for Isaac, but after not even a minute, the guard handcuffs her to a pole to send her back with the next shipment after actually talking to Isaac. Nora arrives, and Abby lies to her by saying she needs the tool and supplies to help Owen because they need to amputate his arm and convince her to free her. Nora tells her that the last supplies are in the lower floors, which are packed with infected. Abby decides to go regardless. She fights the coolest monster in the game, she kills it, finds the tool, goes back to Lev, get a boat, and sails back to the aquarium. While Mel is fixing Yara's arm, Abby helps Lev overcome his fear of dogs by letting him pet Alice. Owen exits the room and tells them that Mel is done, Yara is fine, and they can go to see her. Cut to another of Abby's dreams. She's back at the St. Mary Hospital. She enters the surgery room, and this time she sees her father turning towards her and smiling. Seattle, day 3. Abby wakes up and hears Yara and Lev fighting. Mel comes out of a room and tells Abby they are fighting because Lev doesn't want to leave Seattle. Apparently, all of them are leaving to go to Santa Barbara, Mel included. She probably figured out the weird love triangle she's in, so she tells Abby she won't go if she's going as well, because she's a piece of shit, and she's always been a piece of shit. Big oof. She tells her to leave Yara and Lev alone if she doesn't want to screw their lives too, and leaves. At that moment, Yara enters the room. She asks Abby to help her look for Lev. We understand Lev doesn't want to go to Santa Barbara because he's worried about their mom. Apparently, sometimes parents are held responsible for their children's sins, but Yara is not worried because their mother is really devout and they will probably leave her alone. For the same reason, she knows the mother will never live with them and she's more worried about what she would do to Lev. Yara asks Abby how much did Lev tell her about what happened and why the scars want them dead. Abby replies that he didn't tell her too much, but she heard some of the scars calling him Lily. We discover that Lev is a trans girl. Only male scars are allowed to shave their heads, but Lev did it regardless because he wanted to be a soldier despite they decided he was going to be a wife to one of the elders. This is why the scars want to kill them. Since Lev loves sharks, they decide to get him a shark plush from the aquarium store to cheer him up. Owen enters the room, tells them that Lev is down the hallway, and Yara goes to him. Owen asks Abby to go to Santa Barbara with them and tells her they are finally allowed to be happy. The conversation gets interrupted by Yara's scream. Abby and Owen run to her. We see Lev leaving on a boat to go and try to save his mother. Abby decides to go to the Scar Island and try to save him with Yara. Owen wants to go as well, but Abby tells him to stay and quickly fix the boat. On the way there, Abby tells Yara to wait for her at the dock while she goes and gets a boat. Abby gets saved by Manny from getting sniped. Manny explains to her that they were supposed to get the boat to attack the Scars Island, but the sniper showed up. They decide to take the sniper out together. The sniper kills Manny and we discover he's actually Tommy. He gets in a fist fight with Abby and gets thrown into the stormy sea. Abby and Yara finally gets to a boat and reach the island. While Abby and Yara are crossing a few Scars villages, the wolves start to attack the island. Abby and Yara reach the mother's village before the wolves. They enter the hut and find the mother dead on the floor. Lev is covered in cuts and blood, sitting in a corner. He tells them he tried to make her understand, but she got angry and started to attack him. He tried to stop her and killed her by mistake. They cannot walk back to their boat, so they decide to walk to heaven and get a boat there. On the way back, Yara gets shot. Abby and Lev get surrounded by a group of wolves, and Isaac shows up. Just before he shoots them, Yara shoots in, creating a diversion for Abby and Lev to run away and sacrificing herself. They finally reach heaven, which is under wolf attack and completely on fire. Abby and Lev still manage to go through it, get a boat, leave the island and go back to the aquarium. Here, Abby finds Owen and Mel dead after Ellie's visit. Lev finds Ellie's map on the floor and they track them to the theater. They enter the theater and now the two timelines rejoin. Tommy attacks Abby and gets an arrow on his leg and a bullet on his back, giving Ellie a chance to run to the back of the stage. Abby tells Lev to watch the exits and chases her. Abby and Ellie fight. Abby overtakes Ellie and f**k her up. Dina jumps her from the side, but Lev shoots an arrow into her shoulder and Abby smashes her face on the floor. She holds the knife on Dina's neck. Ellie tries to stop her by screaming that Dina is pregnant. Abby clearly doesn't care, but gets stopped by Lev. Abby tells Ellie to not even let her see her again and leaves. Cut! Ellie and Dina are living together on a farm with JJ, Jesse's and Dina's kid. It seems that they finally found their happy place, but we quickly understand that Ellie has PTSD for Joel's death. She has a panic attack in the barn when holding the baby, but Dina helps her. Cut to another day. Tommy goes and visits them. The three have some casual chatting. Then he starts to speak to Ellie. Long story short, he found where Abby is and wants Ellie to go and kill her since he's half blind and with a limp after Seattle. Ellie looks conflicted but tells him she can't and that she's sorry. Tommy gets pissed, tells her that she said she would make Abby pay after Seattle and leaves. Cut! Ellie wakes up in the night, goes into her studio, closes the window, hits the guitar case which falls on the floor, she opens it and starts playing the guitar. Flashback to the night before Joel's death. Ellie is at the party by herself, she's looking at Dina dancing. Jesse approaches her, he tells her that Joel is telling him where to go or not when he's patrolling with her and that Dina is putting on quite a show. Ellie says she gives them 2 weeks until they're back together. A slow song starts, Dina arrives and brings Ellie to the dance floor. They flirt a bit and kiss. Seth arrives, tell them that there are kids around and call Dina a dyke. Ellie turns to him and asks him what the f did he just say? Joel arrives, pushes Seth away and asks Ellie how she is. Ellie gets mad at him and Joel, visibly broken-hearted, leaves. Back to the farm. Ellie is packing her stuff. Dina arrives and asks her to go back to bed. Ellie tells her she has to finish it. Dina tells her she doesn't own anything to Tommy, that they have a family now, and asks her to stay. Ellie tells her she doesn't eat and sleep anymore and she just can't. Dina tells her she cannot do this again. Ellie says that's up to her and leaves. Cut! Abby and Lev are searching for fireflies in Santa Barbara. They find an old abandoned base hidden in a basement. They activate the electricity and the radio and successfully contact a base of fireflies that are regrouping in Catalina Island. On the way out, they get captured by a group of bandits named Rattlers. Cat! Ellie is in a boat at a Santa Barbara beach following Tommy's lead. She kills a bunch of infected, steps on a Rattler's trap, stabs herself on a tree, drops the knife that she could have used to cut herself free, and faints. She wakes up, she's bleeding out and sees two figures approaching. She thinks it's Abby and calls her name. They are actually two Rattlers collecting their prey. Ellie kills one of them and shoots the other one in the leg. The Rattler stops Ellie by telling her he knows where Abby is. He heard her calling her name before. He tells her they imprisoned her 2 months before and she's kept in the tall round building at their base. Ellie kills him and goes to the tall round building, but Abby is not there. Other prisoners tell her she tried to escape and she's been punished. She's at the pillars down the beach. Ellie reaches the pillars and finds Abby tied to one of them. She looks consumed. She asks for help and then recognizes Ellie. Ellie cuts her off and Abby goes to cut off Lev. She tells Ellie that there are boats near to them. They reach the boats and Ellie tells Abby she can't let her leave. Abby tells her she will not fight her. Ellie attacks her anyway, but she doesn't reply. Ellie threatens to kill Lev if she will not fight. Abby tells her Lev is not part of this, but Ellie replies that she made him a part of this, so she accepts. The two, both exhausted, start fighting. Abby beats 2 of Ellie's fingers off. Ellie is really close to drowning Abby, but she has a flash memory of Joel, starts crying, and lets her go. Cut. Ellie is back at the farm. The house is totally empty except for her studio. She opens the guitar case and attempts to play the Pearl Jam song that Joel played for her at the beginning of the game. Flashback to the night before Joel's death after the party. Joel is playing his guitar on his patio. Ellie arrives. After some casual conversation to break the ice after the fight at the party, Ellie tells Joel she had Seth under control and to stop harassing Jesse about the patrols. He replies okay and asks her if Dina is her girlfriend. She says she's not. It was just a kiss and she doesn't know why she did that. Joel asks her if she likes her. Ellie doesn't know what to say. Joel says that he doesn't know what that girl's intentions are, but he knows she would be lucky to have her. Ellie has an outburst and tells Joel she was supposed to die in that hospital, so her life would have mattered, but he took that from her. Joel replies that if the Lord gave him another chance at that moment, he would do it all over again. Ellie replies that she doesn't think she can ever forgive him for that, but she would like to try. An emotional Joel replies that he would like that. Ellie says, I'll see you around, and Joel replies, yeah, with a broken voice. She leaves. Back to the farm. Ellie stands up, places the guitar next to the window, and walks off the room. The camera slightly moves towards the guitar, and we see Ellie as she walks away in the background.